Hey, this is Tim Ripper Owens.
This is Nora from Battle Beast.
This is Mike from Devil Driver.
This is Carla from Love Ventura.
Hi, this is Mark from Dragon Force, and you are listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Hey metal fans, this is Gone Thong. I'm here with Matt and Amos from Atlanta Metalers Death of Kings. So pleased to have you guys on the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Thanks for having us here. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for having us, man.
We're talking to you at the Haymarket Whiskey Bar in Louisville, Kentucky. I understand this isn't the first time you guys have played in Kentucky?
Yeah, we actually, on our last tour, I think maybe 2 years ago through Louisville, we played at the Mac Bar, also with Cryptic and our friends, the Reverends. Revenants, not Reverends, sorry.
Well, they're around for a couple of years. Yeah, old school. They've been around for at least probably 20 almost. Something like that, yeah. Nice guys.
Had you guys heard of the guys in Cryptic before?
Yeah, I'd actually booked them in Atlanta before when they were still Voyager slaves, and we'd played down there with them when they came through town, and then they were nice enough to hook it back up for us. So.
Before we get into what's going on with the band currently, which is very exciting, I want to get a little background information. First, from each of you, how did you get into music? Start with you, Matt.
Oh, well, that's easy. That's an easy one. My dad's a musician. He's a drummer. He still kind of tours a little bit, and he was at a country rock and roll, little tinge of bluegrass. I'm going to give him a shout-out, Mission Mountain Wood Band. Check them out if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're a little outlaw country things, kind of in there. From Montana, like I said, and they're still up there touring and playing some shows, and he's still going strong at 67 years old, still playing drums and putting on a heck of a show. I mean, go Dad, seriously.
It was encouraged in your home?
Absolutely. I mean, man, always had music around, always had something to bang on or strum or whatever the case may be, and always encouraged me to play music and always be a part of that. So it's definitely was been my outlet, been just been a part of me since as long as I can remember.
What about the story for you, Amos?
As long as I can remember, there's always been music playing in our house growing up, records spinning from my mom and dad. My dad played guitar too, kind of casually around the house. I started playing piano at a young age and then switched to drums around 13. Started touring in my first band around 17 and never really looked back.
Really in your guys' blood. That's awesome. Well, if you would, give us just a little background about the origins of Death of Kings.
Sure. So Death of Kings kind of was sort of in the ruins of a band that with the other original. I'm the only original member from that band at this point, called Das Mannix. It was a little bit more of a rock kind of punk and roll type of mentality. Sleazy hard rock kind of stuff. I almost cursed again. Sorry. All right, shit. There we go. Get it out of the way. So that band we wanted to do something a little bit heavier, a little bit harder, and we just kind of ended up losing some members, changing some things around. Wanted to change the name, of course, because it's a new band, new sound, new feel. So we went with the band Death of Kings, to kind of fit the kind of the vibe, the imagery that conjures up, the mentality behind that, death to rulers or whatever it's, if it's religious, political, you name it, whatever the case may be. It's a little bit more of encompassing a lot more things that are out there, and that way it gives us the ability to kind of grow as a band and get heavier and harder. And with the lineup changes that we've been progressing, with when Amos joined the band, that's really when we were able to kind of have a common goal and a common mentality about how the band would progress. He kind of was right there. I mean, knew what the vision was supposed to be, and definitely. It's all of us now, which is so well put together and well orchestrated. So, strongest we've ever been as a band now. It's great. So,
I can still hear a little bit of that hard rock punk influence in there.
Yeah, I mean, me and Matson especially, we grew up in the punk scene, and we try our best to bring the more technical, heavy metal music, that same, aggression and intensity that we grew up on with punk and hardcore. So we draw from a lot of influence. It's thrashy, it's heavy, it's got some death metal growls, but you can bang your head to it. So.
And you guys have been around quite a while, given that you just released your first full album.
Yeah, it's I'll totally take the blame for a lot of that. I mean, it was one of those I always wasn't ready to jump into putting out a full length just because I knew it was going to get, kind of put under the rug, so to speak. We weren't, with lineup changes and with just inability to tour and just a lot of different factors. It just made more sense for us to kind of like fine-tune our sound, fine-tune as the band itself, get out some 7 inches and some other music out there before we could really put something that we could stand out on our own and then tour on that. So we'll just be like, hey, we've had 4 or 5 releases and nobody's ever heard of them or knows any of the songs. So it's a lot better for us in the long run to really fine-tune the sound, get it really, really where it's supposed to be at, where we're happy with. Because that's where it's all about, making sure we're happy with all the music, and then we can really progress and tour on top of that from there.
You've been putting out music, but just small morsels.
Yeah, we've had a couple singles. When I joined, I think it was the end of 2010. With every member that's joined or left since then, we've kind of streamlined our sound, getting a little darker, a little heavier, a little faster, until now when we're finally able to really capture the intensity of the live performances on a CD, and I think we managed to do that with this record.
Now, you guys are from Atlanta. Tell me a little bit about the metal scene in Atlanta.
Oh, man. It's all in
There's no shortage of really, really talented bands poised to break out in Atlanta right now. Death metal, in the place of bands like Mangled and Disfigurement, who are no longer playing. We've got bands like Cemetery Filth, Repulsory, Malformity, thrash bands like Sadistic Ritual, Paladin, Doom bands.
We were listening to Demon Rod earlier in the car.
There's really something for everybody in the scene, and there's just a wealth of talent, and everybody's kind of tight. There's no real cliquish groups. There are no standoffish. Everybody's trying to support each other, and it's a big enough scene where there's a lot of really talented people, but it's small enough still that everyone knows each other, and it tends to be pretty cool with each other, as opposed to larger major markets where you got little splinter groups and only black metal bands want to play with black metal bands and etc. There's a lot of crossover between the genres, and it makes it a really nice place to be right now.
I was there for, I guess it was back in March for a show at the Masquerade. I was really impressed with the crowd and just the vibe of the folks there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and definitely with the Masquerade, you see a little bit more of a dichotomy of the people that are around. I mean, for local shows, playing like 529 or the Earl, places like that, you'll see a lot more of our hometown crowd. I mean, with the Masquerade, you'll get a lot more people that are outside what we call the perimeter, which is a highway that kind of encompasses the city. So everybody that's within that area really comes out to local shows. With the bigger shows, you really get more of the people from the outside of the Atlanta area that do come in. So there's still some split, but it's still kind of nice to see some people that come in from out there and still kind of support.
Geographical split, less like mentality, personality kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, totally.
Let's focus in on the band's new release, Kneel Before None, which I think was just released this June 2nd, correct? First, can you give me an idea about the title and imagery that you were trying to convey?
Yeah, well, that's actually, this was Amos's idea. It's actually one of the lyrics in the song. I believe that is Regicidal. And that song is, hence the name, it's about the killing of a king. Well, really, it's not like a medieval king per se, but it's kind of basically an oppressive ruler. And you can take that with any kind of imagery from everywhere, whatever that's supposed to mean. Leave it for the listener to kind of create their own and take it for where they want to take it. So that's totally kind of the fun of that. So this whole album itself is a bunch of really fun songs that I guess I do write all the lyrics, so it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun imagery I always want to conjure up, and that really is kind of conjuring is what it is. It's there's songs that like Regicidal, killing of an oppressive ruler. There's a revel in blasphemy, basically making a pact with the devil. There's Too Fast for Blood. It's an apocalyptic biker type of crazy song. Give me another song real quick. Plague Upon the World. Plague Upon the World is basically you were killed, and now you're a zombie, and you're going back to you're walking dead yourself, and you're going back to exact your own revenge, and you're kind of digging it a little bit. It's kind of like, well, I'm dead, and this kind of sucks, but it's kind of fun, kind of all right. I can go get revenge on the people that kind of put me in this position. So it's a lot of fun that way, and it's kind of fun to be able to have that ability to write and to use a lot of different imagery and really have no rules with it. It's not just going to be like one thing. That's one thing I do like with this band. I'm able to write songs that are not just one trick pony. We're only going to write songs that are about like, dissecting people, or anything like that. It's just going to be a lot of different fun imagery that kind of conjures up. And we just kind of, sometimes songs always write themselves is what I like to say. I mean, it's just kind of, they just happen. And sometimes you get a wild idea in your head and roll with it and just let it run, let it just kind of do its own thing. And that's just part of the fun. I get to get excited about writing as well. So,
well,
Even though we have a lot of thrashy overtones, we don't really consider ourselves a straight thrash band, and drawing from all these other influences makes us able to, it makes us able to not be confined by any sort of genre-specific boundaries, and we're able to write about what we want and make music as dynamic as we want or straightforward as we want, and it's been a lot of fun, getting to create that kind of stuff.
Beyond the lyrical imagery, the cover art, the visual imagery is very interesting and impressive. Who created it, and was it based on a particular idea from the band members?
Our friend Joe Getler from Razor Maze and Wilder Run, he had done some artwork for us in the past, and we tapped him for that album art. Kind of gave him a guideline. Just we've got kind of a Vic Rattlehead, Eddie kind of mascot. Reggie, is the name of our little, our night guy. And we have been over the years kind of putting him in various situations and positions, and
time traveling, dimensional traveling,
mercenary or something. But the cover depicts our dear old Reggie making some sort of pact with the devil, surrounded by demons and Skull Waterfall and all the cool blood curdling imagery you're used to. He did. It was really, really killer. We're stoked on the result.
Many of the tracks on this album were previously released, so you guys have played them over the years live. Is there a challenge where you're so familiar with the song and then you go to finally put it down in that new album?
I mean, not really a challenge. For me, I kind of like it just because it's that way we're able to record it a little bit easier in terms of we're not wasting time or money in the studio. We like to be able to really hash out everything, and we're writing methodically. Like, there's parts that, like, I try to lock up with the kick drum a lot of times, even when I'm doing certain, like, muted chords or whatever. So it gives us time to really, really, like I said, methodically write and orchestrate each little part. So it gives us time to, when we get into the studio, it's like we know really how the song is supposed to go. Whether we play it live, we'll see.
Not a lot of reworking of those?
No, I mean, typically by the time we record something, we've given the song enough time to really evolve into what it's going to ultimately be. We put out a 4-song demo in 2015, all 4 of which songs were re-recorded for this record, as well as the previous 2 singles. And some of these songs we thought were such quality that it would be a shame to move on without giving them the proper album treatment. And so we managed to go in there, retrack everything, give it a nice cohesive feel across the board, and slip in some new unreleased tracks we'd been working on over the years as well.
Revel in Blasphemy was a song that we actually almost didn't have ready in time. We actually wrote the chorus right before we recorded it. I remember that going, okay, how does this go? How are we going to do it now? Okay, it goes like this now. 1, 2, 3, go, record. Okay, now I have to write lyrics to fit that.
I think we actually tracked drums for that song before all 4 of us had played the song together.
Yes.
So it was definitely last minute, but it wound up being one of the stronger tracks on the record, and it's gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Sounds like with that scope of older songs and some newer ones, people who listen to this album are getting the full vibe of Death of Kings.
We can hope so, yeah. And I think we've had a lot of people with some good positive feedback saying, hey, this is the closest you can get to like a live, us live. And that's for us is super important because that's a thing that we've always kind of struggled with. We sound and put on a certain show and a certain sound, and then we go to the studio and it kind of becomes something else. And I like it this way more because people are like, this is the best version of you guys ever. This is the best sound of you guys ever. So the positive feedback is definitely there. And so we're really psyched on all of that. And it's really been really getting us really ready for the next round of writing and recording. So, yeah.
Well, despite the fact that you've been working for quite a few years, very hard, you're still a relatively young band. From that perspective, what do you think about the overall North American metal scene? Do you think it's healthy? Do you think that there's growth that needs to happen? What are your thoughts?
It seems to be very healthy as far as, there's no shortage of both, underground and mainstream bands constantly touring across the country. I'm a promoter back in Atlanta, and every day some crazy band is hitting me up that I'm like, man, I can't believe all these bands are on the road at once. We've got, people coming across, the sea to play America, despite how tough it is to get into their country these days. Bands are still coming. This is a big consolidation of metalheads across the country. Obviously, places like, Europe, South America, Central America, you got huge metal fanaticism. But, man, in our experiences on the road, everywhere is just so receptive to heavy music. And, they just want to help bands, be loud and help them bang their heads, so.
I think my favorite bands, honestly, are the underground unsigned bands. They're the best ones out there. I mean, you can tell they have the heart. There's the soul to their music still. They're not writing anything. They're writing for themselves. It really, truly shows. And some of the best recordings are bands that just put out one record, and you're like, no, you want to see them do more. But I mean, sometimes it's just, it's hard to capture lightning in a bottle sometimes, and those are some of the best bands. So I think people need to go out to more local shows, of course, as always, and come out to see all the touring bands, because there's a lot of great bands that are on the road that might play for 5, 10 people, whatever, but it's the best music I've heard in a very long time, and it really shows.
Let's talk about what you guys have going on the road. You were in Knoxville, Tennessee last night, this evening in Louisville, Kentucky. What do you have coming up as far as the next few weeks?
We're finishing out a couple-week run here on the new album. Tomorrow we're off to Detroit, and then we start to swing east. Tomorrow we're in Indiana, and then to Detroit, and then we start to head towards the East Coast up to Philly, Boston, and then back through New York, Richmond, Charlotte, and back home. Hoping to get a couple more runs in maybe throughout the Southeast this winter before maybe setting our sights on the West Coast next year.
Places you've played before, some new markets mixed in there as well?
A little bit of both. You always want to try to mix in a couple, regular spots that you have some sort of following in. That way you get a little bit of a windfall here and there while you're on the road, play to some fans, and then gives you the momentum to get through the places that you're hitting for the first time.
Well, guys, wrapping up with you tonight, what's the best way for fans to purchase music and merchandise, including this new album, Kneel Before None, from Death of Kings?
We've got all of our merchandise set up on our Bandcamp site, deathofkings.bandcamp.com. You can also get the new album from Boris Records, which is a local Atlanta label that's been just invaluable with helping Atlanta bands get their music in front of the right ears. And Sam and Scott and Boris Records have really been helpful in getting our last few records out, and they have the CD for sale as well as a lot of other Atlanta bands. So check them out for sure.
Well, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to walk over here in a few minutes to your merch table and purchase the album from you directly. I'm sure you'll have plenty of merchandise and that new album and upcoming shows as well.
Absolutely. That's the easiest way to get the record, is to catch us on the road.
Well, guys, this is my first time tonight to see you play live. I'm excited for it. Can't wait to bang my head, pump my fist. Excited to see you guys kill this place.
Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate the time and interest.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone that's listening and everybody that supports. Thank you for coming out tonight. And, again, everybody that's listening, thank you so very much. And keep supporting all touring local bands, everybody in between. It's the reason why we do it. Thank you.